Good morning, Food Forest Gardeners. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a two-part series now on chop and drop and different strategies and different ways you can do it, including the way that we're doing it now. It's going to be a two-part because I'm kind of about halfway through. I've done quite a bit of the chop, but I haven't really gotten going good yet on the drop. One thing I have dropped in here is I've gone ahead and harvested a bunch of my compost over here. The only compost we really make is just to deal with our kitchen scraps. Other than that, I don't really compost. Every time I have material that I could compost, I just use it as mulch somewhere. But we did have quite a bit of nice black compost from the kitchen scraps. And so I went ahead and sort of cleared out around some of these plants, like this plum tree here, and these Mysore raspberries over here, which are really starting to get some good growth on them now. Took them a while to get going this year because it was so dry. Once we started getting the good rains, it took off. But Mysore raspberries, they need a lot of fertility. These Eurasian plums need a lot. I did a video on these thornless blackberries where I was doubting the placement of them. I was thinking my soil here was so poor that I might transplant these over to a spot closer to the house. But they're showing some pretty good signs of life now. You know, they finished fruiting. Once they finish fruiting, they turn to putting on some leafy growth, and this one's looking really good. So I decided to go ahead and reward them, for how good they were looking, by just kind of cleaning out the area around them and giving them some nice black compost. Here's another three over here. These are in the hottest, driest section. I apologize, there's an airplane. There's a little airport near here, so there's really loud airplanes that come through from time to time. But these as well, you can see they're even starting to flower a little bit and produce another crop of berries. But they perked up, so I'm like, okay. They showed me something. I think we can work with this spot after all, but I probably need to help them out. So I cleared out stuff around them, and I'm giving them this black compost. Then I'm going to come back with a lot of my chop and drop material and put that on. That'll be covered in part 2 of this two-part video series. So let's just keep kind of going through and looking at what we're doing. I've done a little bit of chop and drop just using things like Biden's Alba and winged sumac and ragweed. By the way, here I'll put some more compost right here on this nice Eurasian plum. They need more fertility than a lot of the other things I'm growing. Looks like we've got some mushrooms of some kind popping up right there. But also these pineapple guava or Fajoya, they need a little more fertility. This one really suffered. I wasn't paying attention and it got too dry, and it kind of started to drop leaves and even branches because it got so dry. But I think I've got it under control now, and another nice Fajoya right there. But let's go over here and look at this. I think I made a mistake. I put a big log right here next to this chestnut tree, and that was a big nitrogen sink. You know, the decomposition of that big log was just probably taking all the nitrogen in this whole area away from this chestnut tree here, because this chestnut just doesn't look nearly as good as the one I have over that way. So I went ahead and removed the log, doing a lot of chop and drop. There's some Biden's Alba. I actually went ahead and used some saltbush and some horse mint, bee balm, just because I have plenty of saltbush and bee balm, so I could use some of it right in the vicinity of this tree, like right here. I went ahead and used that to give it some mulch. I'm going to give this some compost as well. I think it could use it. Generally, I don't think I need to compost my chestnuts too much, because this one over here has not really been composted at all. It just gets mulched with chop and drop mulch, and It's a gorgeous chestnut sitting over here. I do have a log over here by this one too. I think I'll move it. It's not as close to the tree as the one was for the other one. Let's just move this away from that a little bit. And then I'll come in and add some, I'm gonna be applying a lot more mulch to this one. Let's keep going. We mulched heavily these figs last year, and we've got sweet potatoes growing in there. I will probably be putting some chop and drop mulch on them when I get to that point. Not really worried too much about my loquats. You know, if you kind of pay attention to what your plants are telling you, this loquat's telling me that it is growing great. You know, it's really vigorously putting on growth. It's already up to 4.5 feet tall, and it was only 18 inches tall last year. So that's telling me, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I kind of cleared a little bit, but and I'll probably mulch it a little bit, but I don't have to put compost on it, that's for sure. And as we move along here, here's the biggest and best Eurasian plum I have. So I put a lot of nice black compost on it, kind of cleared that area out a little bit. But so basically it's a 4-step process. So just kind of trim down any high weeds that are starting to crowd the plants and make it too moist right around the trunk of the trees and the shrubs. So just kind of clear those out so that it can air out and dry out. Apply black compost to certain things. Not everything needs that, but some of the plants, blueberries, blackberries, plums, raspberries, those are the plants that need Fajoia. Those are the plants that need a little, oh yeah, and also over here, these Cherry of the Rio Grande. They could use some too. So I did a little clearing out, step 1. Step 2, applied the black compost. Step 3, I'll be chopping and dropping, applying mulch. Why did I think there was 4 steps? That's it. Those 3 steps is pretty much it. I guess maybe you could call the chop step one of the steps. Yeah, chopping. So that's what we have here. We've taken our hedge trimmers. They work really great for harvesting your chop and drop material from your Fakahatchee grass. And I've chopped it, but I haven't collected it and moved it around yet. I'm also going to be, here's a bunch of Fakahatchee grass where we've got some chop and drop material cut, ready to be moved. There's some more over here. I'll go into the different strategies for how and when to chop and drop and what to chop. I'll go into more of that in part 2. But for this one, I didn't want to not include this as part of the video because you're not going to see a lot of this in part 2 because all this compost is going to be covered up by chop and drop mulch. And also, I will be, let's move this way for a better view so that you don't have glare. And we're passing a lot more Fakahatchee grass in here that we chopped. But all these Mexican sunflowers, we're gonna chop those down. They're probably only gonna be about 2 or 3 feet off the ground, about the level of this little piece here. Everything from there on up, all that I'm gonna be collecting. So one of the things I wanna do is, over here in this area, there's been battles. So I've won some of the battles, and the Bermuda grass has won some of the battles. Right now, the Bermuda grass is kicking my butt. But eventually, I want to have this all under control. I want to have this whole area shady. So I'm going to take another shot at throwing a lot of that Fakahatchee grass, and I'll put that down first so that the Mexican sunflower has a barrier between it and the ground to keep the Mexican sunflower from sprouting roots, because it'll do that. It really wants to live. If you throw a piece of that on the ground, it's going to find a way to live. Life finds a way, right? That's a perfect example is Mexican sunflower. But that's what I'm going to do in this area. And by the way, I've made the decision. We just don't have enough moisture over here for the elderberry So I'm going to be actually using them as part of my chop and drop material, chopping them, laying them on the ground. This whole area is going to look different, but I'm really beginning to shift the focus to my trees, like this Great Wall, Asian persimmon, and my blueberries. I need to get better growth out of this blueberry. There's some compost I put on it. It's starting to sprout some growth. I need to get better growth. I need to get all this Bermuda way more under control. So yes, I've got 4 persimmons in here, and I'm probably going to plant, I don't know if I've made a final decision, but I'm kind of leaning towards jujube maybe right in there. I just don't have any areas in my yard that stay wet enough all the time for elderberry. It's a water-loving plant, a lot like bananas. In fact, I'll be phasing out my bananas as well. We just don't have a long enough growing season. We can't get banana fruit ripe enough to pick. We can't even get them to flower before the freeze comes here. So it's served its purpose. It's definitely helped improve my soil, but I'm going to be chopping and dropping the bananas as well. So I'm going to have a lot of material I can use over here to try to help snuff out. Now, Bermuda grass can grow through just about anything, so I'll win that battle, and then over time, the Bermuda grass will try to fight back, but eventually there'll be enough shade. The long-term situation is time is on my side, because Bermuda grass can't really do really well in shade, and especially deep shade. If it's really deep, dark shade, it struggles, and I'll be able to finally beat it for good at that point. So that's the idea. Chopping and dropping, composting, got a lot going on. Here in the South, and really probably throughout much of the country, now that it's so warm throughout almost the entire country now, it's crazy hot in the summers now. You could hear a lot of gardeners, just kind of give up on things in the summertime. And what they say is, oh my gosh, everything was looking great when I started my garden back in the spring, but now it is just absolutely overgrown with weeds. Whereas a food forest gardener, what we say is, I got my garden looking really good in the spring, and now it's overgrown with weeds. Yay! Which we love, because we use those weeds as compost material, or as mulch material, chop and drop mulch material. So that's what happened. We had tremendous growth of Biden's alba and ragweed. Here our winged sumac just went nuts. It got to the point where I couldn't even find my Yaupon holly over here. This guy right here. I was so delighted when I got all of the stuff off of this, because it had buried it. It grown up all around it to the point where I couldn't even see this plant. But it's looking great. Got maybe a little leggy because it was buried underneath all that shade. But it's shooting up. That's one thing that shade will cause a plant to do. It'll cause it to kind of shoot up and try to reach for the sun. But I found my Yaupon holly again. This is the best one I have in the backyard out of about 5 or 6. I've got some nice ones in the front yard now. We're delighted to have all the growth. We can go in and harvest it and use it for mulch. We have to get up really early this time of year. I'll be honest with you, I'm having to get up at like 4:30 in the morning so I can have my breakfast and get ready to go to start the day, and then I can get all my work done. And then by 8 o'clock, I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs, wondering what to do with myself for the rest of the day. But it's so hot. There's not much you can do but stay air conditioned. It's 105 to 110 heat index is unsafe for anybody, and I'm not getting any younger. So anyway, back to the subject though. We're helping out plants that need some help. Now this fertility and all this help we're doing, here's another big major concept here for food forest gardens to understand. I'm having to do more of this work here because this garden is barely over a year old. We just started planting it last year. And planted a few more plants this year, and there's still more plants we're going to be planting. So this whole garden's not even planted yet. And in the early years of a food forest garden, you're going to have to do more work, and you're not getting a whole lot of productivity yet. You're not getting much harvest yet. What the productivity you are getting are these so-called weed plants and chop and drop plants that you intentionally planted, and you're getting good productivity out of them, and then you're using that by applying it as chop and drop mulch. So yeah, it's more work now. Later there's going to be less work. There's not as much productivity now except for the non-food plants. Later there's going to be a lot more productivity in the food plants. So the slope of those two lines are going opposite directions. Decreased work over time, increased harvest over time. Okay, I guess that'll wrap it up for this one. Next one will be after I collect up all this material and chop and drop all these bananas and Mexican sunflowers and really mulch a lot of things a lot better. All right, y'all take care and happy gardening, everybody.